If we have another missed paycheck, then I would be looking for a part-time job to make up for this one.
It's hard to explain to your kids why you can or can't do something because you don't know when you're going to get paid.
We're really scrimping. I mean, we're not leaving the house if we don't have to because that's gas money.
Panel is back. A lot more human faces on this government shutdown. Doesn't seem like it's having much of a political impact. Sahil Kapoor, Danielle Pletka, Maria Teresa Kumar are here. Robert Costa of the Washington Post tweeted the following thing that he heard from a Republican. He said this: a couple senior Republican lawmakers tell me the only way this breaks open is if TSA employees stay home and Americans get furious about their flights. That's the only out, they say. And these are apparently lawmakers that were close to the White House. How depressing is that, Maria?
Well, I think that this is the challenge is that we are, for the very first time, we're also seeing federal workers march and actually protest. We've never seen federal workers who are civil servants who are normally nonpartisan saying, look, I need my paycheck. And the fact that we are having this, this sequestered of giving people basically asking them to work for free to protect our country and not giving them the recognition that you not only is your work valued, but that you actually so this, let me just stop. Again, the reason that this is so hard is that I know so many people that deeply believe in civil service. They deeply believe in the functioning of our government. And the fact that we're bringing this upon ourselves instead of working on behalf of the American people is not only disappointing, but it feeds into this idea that the system is broken.
Well, here's the thing. This system is broke. It broke. OK, we broke it. And here's how you can prove that we broke it. There's a Pew poll out today, and it shows essentially, Sahil, that as this thing has gone on, those that oppose the wall, it keeps growing. 88% that oppose the wall say don't compromise. 72% that favor the wall say don't compromise. We're actually farther apart. Polarization won. It broke. We said it was going to break our ability to govern. It did it. Like, let's stop saying it's going to happen. It has happened.
And
We're here.
Previous shutdowns have usually been ended by the fact that polls show one side or the other is getting blamed and that side caves. This one is different, and the reason is where the fault lines are. About half or more of the country blames President Trump or the Republicans for this. About a third blame Democrats. But that one-third has an outsized presence in the Senate Republican majority. Most of those members are more afraid of that one-third. They're more afraid of losing in a primary, whereas House Democrats overwhelmingly represent urban and suburban areas where President Trump is unpopular, the wall is unpopular, and they have no incentive to cave, especially after winning that wave election.
It's broken. We broke it.
Yeah,
it really happened.
Governance is about leadership, and everybody seems to have forgotten it. But, we do need to underscore this. There are real human faces to this. There are real people who live paycheck to paycheck and then don't get a paycheck and don't know what to do. The other side of it is we're talking about a $4.4 trillion budget, and we're talking about $5 billion. Really? You can't find your way around this? That's where I see there is some ownership on both sides. This is Trump, but it's also adamancy on the part of the Democrats.
So that's a really important point, because the $5.7 billion for the wall, that is chump change in the context of the budget. That is not what this is about. This has become a larger proxy battle over whether the country accepts President Trump's premise that immigration and migration is the cause of the country's problems: jobs, wages, crime, drugs. This is his answer to his voters for what is wrong in their lives, and Democrats refuse to accept that, and that is a very fundamental.
Well, I would actually argue that the American public has rejected this idea that we need a wall. 3 million more people voted for the Democratic candidate in the 2016 election. When we were talking about this idea that we wanted the wall and make that a midterm issue, we had a wave election because they're saying that is not actually good enough. The fact that the majority of people, when you look at who is participating, actually do not believe in the wall. It has everything to do with that we're talking about and arguing about our American values. And that is what the wall in many ways has symbolized. It's not trivial about our identity.
Yeah, Danny, if this were about money, it's not about money. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the problem. If it were about money, the problem would already be solved.
But it's not. But I don't think it's about the wall either. I mean, let's be frank. It is about this position taking. It is about this partisanship over leadership. It is about this divide and accentuating it rather than acting like grown-ups. We can disagree till we're blue in the face about whether whether the Democrats once supported a wall or didn't support a wall.
No, but I actually think
that
the Democrats in the last since they just got in office a week ago, they've actually proposed 10 bills, many of them that were very similar to when the Republicans were controlling the House. So there's something fundamentally completely different. And Chuck, you and I are always often aligned. When people say that the system is broken, it's not. I think that it is dysfunctional.
No,
but when we say that the system is broken, you can talk to the majority of immigrants saying we left broken systems where there's absolute chaos.
Wow.
And this is an opportunity. The fact that we just saw a wave election where for the very first time in 100 years we saw Americans come out and vote in record numbers is that people are paying attention and they're willing and ready to fix it.
But I will say this. Presidents don't get to 50-50 compromise.
No.
Presidents have to go 80% of the way. He's not even gone 20% of the way. Presidents have to go farther. Presidents always own, because they can end it whenever they want.
He's the only one making a demand. That is asymmetry.
Hang on. Congress does have the power of the purse. I'm sorry. That is their power.
But it's a divided Congress. It's the president. It's on his watch. It's always on the president. It is always on the president. Sorry. Sahil, I said this during Obama, and the left used to beat the crap out of me. No, it is always on the president to go more than halfway. And if you didn't want to do it, don't run for the job.
I think that ship sailed.
Yeah, well, I agree on that. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.